It's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to make a card that's lit from within. I hope you'll stay tuned. The first thing that you need to know is that we're going to make this a card that is a box, but it's going to have a window, and you're going to look through the window. And the way we're going to do that is I'm going to put a piece of acetate with it facing up. My plan is to take my acetate that disappears on me as fast as it possibly can. I'm going to put it inside the MISTI. Then I'm going to put it in the center, or as close to the center as I can. There you go. My goal here is to put a layer of paper behind it so that I have in my box, so that I have images back here. And the images back here, I think I'm going to do a layer of vellum and then my cardboard behind it. But what I want to have is light shining through the vellum, and we'll give that a go in just a second. I'm going to let this sit aside and dry so that we can go on to our next step, and that will be finding the stamp I want to use for my vellum and finding my other papers. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to be using this set from Little Darling Rubber Stamps called Wall Art Set. I'm going to use these two photos, and they're going to go, or pictures, they're going to go on the wall behind my my window. So I already have them in my MISTI, and I'm going to just ink them up with some more Ranger Archival ink. This is a permanent ink, so it should stay on there with, oh, I just dropped it right on my thing. How lovely. It's a permanent ink, so it should stay there after we've, you know, when we're messing around and sticking it, putting ink on the other side of it. I'll do one more inking. Okay, let's see how they come out. Now this piece is 5 inches tall by 9 inches wide. You know, I always write all the dimensions down below, and this is going to be one of my layers of my room, but I wanted it to be on acetate so that if I decide I wanted the light to shine through it, that it would work. And I'm using these little lights that you get at the Dollar Tree, and they're much smaller than the existing ones they used to sell. I'm going to show you one of them if I can find it. It's this big. That's all the bigger it is, which is nice because then you don't have to worry about trying to fit a great big light inside your card. Obviously, this works better if you don't mail whatever you're doing. You're going to hand it to somebody because it's going to be big, and to mail it, you're going to run into a little bit of an issue, I think. I'm going to get my scrap paper again. I'm going to dry it before I go any further, though I do want to make sure it stays. I do want it to smear, you know, like because you're not going to color it on the side you inked. You're coloring it on the back side. And so it's going to be on this, and hopefully you can see that really well. And I'm using alcohol markers. I have Touch 5 markers, and the colors I'm using are going to be in the gray family, Cool Gray 3 and Cool Gray 7. In the red family, I'm using number 2 and number 3. In the blue family, I'm using 183, and in the green, I'm using 43. And I'm going to color my roses first. And I'm using my lightest tone first to go over the whole image, and then I'll go back over it with the darker tone. And I want to give it a second to dry. If you go over it a few times, it'll get darker every time you paint it, you know, or color it. So you want to make sure that you remember that, because you're going to get a darker impression. I'll show you the difference, like let's say you use this color gray, and I'm just using this color gray as a way to explain the problem you're going to have if you use it. I'm going to use it on both because I want both of my frames to be exactly the same. Now if you would put this on your frame and leave it this way, sorry, I can't do two things at once. I can't chew gum and walk at the same time. If you left it that way and you turn it over, see how light that gray is? It's super light. What I want to do then is I'm going to go back over a little bit of it with my darker color, just so I can get a little bit of a darker. I'm going to go over the whole thing because I like that color. I wasn't sure if I would like how dark it is, but I do like it. It's kind of almost like a black picture frame you'd have on your wall. Just saying, I kind of dig it, making me happy. And do the other one. So that's our frames. Now I'm going to flip them back over, and that's how dark they are now. So they look better once you add a little bit more color to them. I'm going to use my darker red now, and I'm going to highlight parts of these flowers. Now we'll use some green on our leaves and our stems. Okay. Then I'm going to do the background of my roses in a blue color. I'm going to make my wall the same color blue. Okay. Now I'm going to get an actual white piece of paper, or as close to white as I can get. There you go. And I'm going to color around the outside. What I want to do is make my wall this color. So I'll use the big tip. I know it has a real name, but I can't remember what it's called. And I'm going to have Rich fast forward so that you don't have to watch me basically color forever with blue. Okay, now we're going to let this sit. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my alcohol and I'm going to just drop some onto my cloth. Hopefully you can see that. Just going to make sure I have enough on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that we get rid of those weird kind of blotches, I'm just going to do this. And it should change it so that there's a texture. Hopefully you'll be able to see that in a second. At least when you do this, you don't have to worry about the weird lines that you sometimes get with a darker color. So in case they had, let's say that Grandma has wallpaper on her walls and her wallpaper is in the blue family, that's what this is doing. It's creating a textured look. I'm going to slide some of it around by just kind of wiping it. So you take a standard size piece of paper, cut it to 5.5 by 11. You're going to make your scores on the 11-inch side every 1/2 inch. And then we're going to take a few colors of inks and go over our impression. I'm going to use a brown and a gray. Should I use? I think I'm going to use my Distress inks. Let me grab those. I'll be right back. I decided I was going to use a variety of inks to try and make this the colors that I thought would work best. And those are going to be tea dye from Distress Ink, black soot, gathered twigs, and then a gray Stampin' Up! It's called Smoky Slate. and also some unicorn white. I'm going to use lightest to dark, and I'm going to just gently, I'm using the top of my pad like that with my fingers on it. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm just going to go down my paper with the white. Ooh, got that stuck, huh? Lucky I'm going to be using a lot of other inks, huh? Put that aside. I'm going to have to dry this one because it's the white is a pigment ink and it won't want to dry very fast, so I'm going to have to use my heat gun. This is going to give it that weathered look. So let me get my tool, heat tool. Let me dry these off. And just want to make sure that before we go to our next color, we get rid of this white, because I'm using the same technique where I'm going to swipe over it, and I don't want to end up having white all over my other ink pad. And this is 110 pound Recollections Michaels cardstock, and I wanted my base to be really sturdy. So let me try my Smoky Slate next. That's my gray. And I'm going to use these two first because, like I said, they are my lighter shades. I'm going to do the same thing. Move that one out of the way for a second. I put these other papers under it so you'd be able to see it better. And I'm just kind of swiping over it. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if you get tons of it on there or if you get a little amount on there. You're just trying to make it look like basically a weathered board. You know, like if you go to the shore and you see houses along the beach and they have that look to them like this, where it's all kind of different colors and weathered looking. That's what we're shooting for. We're going to go for a beach house, apparently. You're probably thinking to yourself, oh, Sandy, that's at that hot mess phase. Yeah, I know. We always have to have the hot mess phase before we get to the end of our project, right? Now I'm going to go over it with the brown. This is where it kind of comes to life. And this is tea dye, if I didn't say that already. I like this color because it really gives it that wood look. Okay, there's that one. And then this one. Then I'm going to go to Gathered Twigs, which is a little bit darker brown. And back to my first image. That color doesn't want to... I'm loving it. It's no longer that hot mess phase, is it? Bet you're wondering how that happened. All you have to do is keep playing with it. I swear, if you keep playing with it, it'll turn out the way you want it. Last but not least is my black soot. Black soot is kind of an essential part to this coloring process because it really brings out the highlights to me. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's going to go, oh, that's the winner right there. But I think there's something about the black soot that really makes it look more like distressed. Oh, it is distressed. If you want to, I'm going to see if my white pen works. You just kind of put little lines here and there. And then I like to do this where I kind of smear them a little bit with my hands, and then they kind of look more realistic. I let it sit for just a second before you smear it because you don't want it to wipe right back off. And don't try and get them all in a row if you can avoid that, because it looks more realistic if they're not all in a straight line. Okay, there's that one. It kind of looks like nail holes to me, anyway. Okay, there is my weathered background. This is our outside of our house, basically. Okay, let's make our box. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to score these. I'm going to go 2 inches from either side, so that would be 4 lines. So I'm just going to bend it on the 4th line. And then I'm going to bend this one on the 4th line. 2 inches from either end is what I'm shooting for. And 2 inches from both sides on this one. Now I need to cut some rectangles or some kind of a piece in there. So all we need to do is stamp this so I can see it, because all I need to do is cut it out, right? So that's what we're shooting for. Is let me cut this out and then I'll be right back. So I wanted to make my image work better with the acetate. So what I did was I stamped, well, it's on the other side. I stamped and then cut out that part because I wanted it in brown, and then I'm stamped excuse me, this part, and I'm going to cut it out, and I'm going to flip it over because I don't want the heart. And then I also have the curtains here that I'm going to do the same thing with. So I'm going to quickly cut these out. You don't need to have any of the center beams, we'll call them. You just need to have the curtains, and you don't need to have the pleated part of the curtain showing. And I'm going to leave, for now, I'm going to leave mine all in one piece because it will be hidden behind the, see, if I would put this here, the wooden part would hide it. So I'm going to turn mine over and see how this does on this side. I like it. And then we'll do the other one on the other side. I'll just put this down on top of it so we can see what it looks like. And then we'll glue it all down once we're done, but I just kind of wanted to get an idea of it as I go. And then I don't know if I should use this color. I think I'm going to try this color, and if I don't like it, I can always change it out. This is one of the easiest things to cut, this box for the flowers. Don't forget, we're going to be flipping this over, so it doesn't matter what the stamped image looks like. Kind of cool, huh? I think it looks good. The brown is okay. I don't know if I love the red. Let's see what my image looks like behind it. I'm happy. Okay, let's glue some of these down. I think I'm going to put just some of my tape runner upside down. See if that works or if it will show through. I'm digging it. Okay, let's. So that goes into the front, and this is the piece that I've cut out for my front, and I'm probably going to have to cut it down just a little bit And I think I'm going to use some tear tape on it just to make sure that it stays well adhered. I was going to use my tear tape, but I'm going to try this for now and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then we'll cry about it in a minute. Put that. Let's just lay it. How's that hit ya? Pretty cool, huh? I'm happy with it so far. Then we're going to put this piece, I'm going to back this on another piece of cardstock because I want to make sure, I mean, it has to be right like that. So I'm going to need to cut it all down. See the pictures in the window? So my next piece, I'm going to have to cut out that much of it. I need to, maybe I'll cut an oval out of the center of it because I need to have that piece be able to see through it. So let me grab an oval die and we'll cut through our center sheet. This is our center piece, and it's going to be the one that we attach our vellum to. And I'm going to put the vellum behind it so that we have a really good strong image, and then I'll make sure that this is centered properly. Just want to make sure everything is in the right spot. I'm going to take my tape runner and I'm going to run it. Let's do this side. Go all the way over. Pushing it down. And it should stay this time. And then we'll just trim off. Oops. We'll just trim off the excess that I have on this edge. Okay. Now let's make sure we've got it in place again. Oh, I wish you could see that. Hold on. Can you see it like that? It's kind of cool. I'll put the light behind it as soon as I get it attached. Now, this has a score on 1 inch from either end. So it's at 1 inch and 8.5 inches because this is about 5 1/4 by 9.5 inches. And then the back piece and the front piece are both the same. They're 5 1/2 inches tall by 11 inches wide. And so this back piece needs to fold. It needs to fold in like this because you need your back to be finished. So this is the back, and then we're gonna fold this piece. We're gonna put our folds like this, and then we're gonna, here's how it's gonna look in a second. Hold on. It's gonna fold like that. Like that. If that makes any sense. That's what it's going to look like. Alright, so what you're going to do, now this again is our back piece that I'm playing with right now. You're going to fold up that back piece. You're going to fold down the center piece, and you're going to line it up with that edge, and then you're going to pull that edge up so that the two meet. You see that? Hopefully you did. If you didn't, we're going to do it on the other side. So then you're going to put your glue on the front. Sorry, it's kind of confusing when you have all those gray layers by each other. Okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to fold that piece down. Then you're going to lay it in place. Sorry, I got to kind of, you're going to fold up that piece so it's like that. You with me? And then you're going to squeeze your underneath your score lines to make sure that everything is really well attached. Okay? That's what it looks like right now. Then we're going to take this piece and we're going to put glue on that piece. And we could put our light on either layer, and I'm going to try a couple spots here, but I think we're going to put the light in the very back, and I'm going to put that on with a glue dot, and that way we'll be sure to have it so it stays. You know what I mean? I hope you do. Okay, so this is our front, and this is our back. What you're going to do now is you're going to take your front and you're going to line it up. Hold on, I'm going to turn it sideways so I can see it. You're going to line it up so it's completely even, like that. Okay. And then you're going to take this side and you're going to do the same. Obviously this isn't a card that you're going to put in the mail. It's probably one that you're going to want to have not in the mail. Okay, there's a little piece in the inside of paper. Sorry, there's a little piece of paper in the inside of this. You unscrew it and you take that piece of paper out. I'm going to turn off some lights and see where we want to stick this. There it is. It's lit. Can you see the... It's probably hard to see the picture, the pictures in the house, but that is our house. Here's the really cool thing about it. Okay, I'm going to dump it down like that, and here's the fun part. All you have to do is that, and it will go in an envelope. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp our outside images. I want to make my basket for my flowers to be outside, and I think I want to make the two shutters to be outside. I don't care about the other parts. I only care about these. So if I don't have some things inked up, that's okay. Like I said, we only care about the outside images that I'm not doing a good job of stamping, clearly. I thought I'd be able to get... I thought I would get that one shutter, but clearly that shutter doesn't want to play with me. Okay. So what I'm going to do next, I cut out my pieces and I went around the outside edges with black Sharpie so that all of my edges were completely black. I guess that's what I'm looking for, is the word black. And then I'm going to use a couple of my Touch 5 alcohol markers. This is CG4 and CG7 as a cool gray. And then I'm going to use EB3 in my Spectrum Noirs. I don't know about that one yet, because I wanted to do some brown, but I don't know if that's too dark, so we're going to go with this first. I thought what I would do is just color. I wanted this to be darker than it was because my background is much darker. I went with 102. This is a brown. Let's see if... Well, it doesn't look brown, does it? Because of that gray underneath. to get some of my stamps from Rubber Stamp Tapestry, peg stamps, and I'm going to stamp a scene of flowers that are going to be hanging down from this basket. So let me grab those and I'll be right back. So now I'm going to use a bunch of my peg stamps to make my flowers that are going to be hanging out of my pot. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to make a mark where the edges of this pot are going to be. That's so I know exactly how wide I want everything to be, and I can put flowers above it and below it so we have an idea of how this is going to be placed. So in order to do this, I'm going to use a lot of flowers, and I'll kind of give you the names. This one is called a square with a dot pattern. I thought it still looked like flowers. And this one is a fern. This one doesn't have a name, it's just a single little flower. Then this is a chamomile sprig. And this one is a peeled flower. And this is just some leaves. Sorry, I don't have the name written on that one. This one's called a blinky flower. This one is called, well, it's from the floral filigree wreath. Try saying that 5 times fast. And then this one is 3 Ripley flowers. So those are the ones I'm going to be using. And I think I'm going to go in with my bigger green images first. And I'm going to be using my markers in all different colors of them. This one is called Mossy Meadow. I don't know if these are still available anymore because you know, Stampin' Up! Changes their things from time to time. So I want to make sure that you just use any water-based marker. I'm going to just cut this out with my scissors, and I'll be back after I cut it out. So our next step is we're going to put a piece of cardstock on the back, so that's where we're going to write, because keep in mind we can flatten this, and I stamped on it, "Thank you for being you," and I thought that was a nice little sentiment. And I'm just going to make sure it's well adhered. Okay, then we're going on to our big front pictures. I already put the foam squares on the back of my shutters. I'm going to lay it flat again. Hopefully you won't be able to see them. Okay, so I left one small light on so that you can see everything clearly, and then you see the lights inside, and if you look closely in the window, hold on, I'll point to it, I'm holding the camera right there, you can see that's the window, no, that's the photos or pictures that are in the background inside on vellum. I really like it now. I'm happy that I put the flowers on it and that I added the foam behind these so that they're lifted up. I'm really happy with it. I hope you like this, that you give something lighted a try now that the Dollar Tree has those really little wee lights. I hope you give this a thumbs up and subscribe, and please tell your friends about me on social media because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.